David, just to let you know that I did hit the go live button. So whenever you're ready to proceed at 9:30, everything is set up.
So
Great,
what
thanks.
you're saying is we're live now. We don't have to wait.
Correct. Sorry, that was my error. I hit the button a little bit too early.
Okay. Well, we have, I'm just checking here. I have 9:29. Is that close enough, Dave? If I talk real slow, it would be 9:30 before we get going.
Sure, Walter.
Okay, I think we'll get started and we'll call this meeting to order. I would like to welcome everybody here this morning, and we will call this meeting, I guess it's our April meeting of County Council Land Division. I would like to make note that what will be shown on the screen for those viewing at home is our remote meeting platform, whereby whoever is speaking will be shown predominantly, with smaller images of the members and staff along the edge of the screen. The agenda for this meeting hearing has been posted online at perthcounty.ca. If you want to follow along, please feel free to access it now. I will remind all committee members, staff, and others participating in this meeting to please mute your microphone when not in use to reduce the feedback. As the meeting is being held remotely, there are some procedural changes regarding how the committee will vote. The Secretary Treasurer will call each of the members' names, and each member will respond if they are in favor or opposed to the motion, and I will announce the result of the vote. Before we proceed, I'd like to ask the Secretary Treasurer to confirm the attendance of the committee members by a roll call. David?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Committee members, I'll be reading your names out loud. So when you hear your name, please unmute yourself and respond present. Councillor Aitchison?
Present.
Councillor McKenzie?
Present.
Councillor Eggetts?
Present.
Councillor Wilhelm?
Present.
And Councillor Duncan?
Present.
That is our attendance, and we do have quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, David. Okay, the first item on the agenda then is confirmation of the agenda. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, seconded by Councillor Eggetts. And David, I'll let you do the vote.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Warden Aitchison, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Eggetts, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Councillor Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, so that is carried. The next item on the agenda then is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest? Okay, seeing none. The adoption of the minutes from March the 29th. Do we have a mover and seconder to adopt those minutes? Councillor Duncan and Warden Aitchison. Any discussion before we take the vote on them? Okay, David, I'll let you take the vote then.
Thank you, Chair. Warden Aitchison, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Eggetts, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm, how do you vote?
Yes. And
And Councillor Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the results of that is that vote is carried as well. So we have a couple reports. We really don't have a particular hearing, but the first report, 6.1, is the revised application for consent to sever B35 by Grace Farms Limited. So David, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Chair. We do have our senior planner, Adam Kozlowski, in attendance today, and he will be presenting the updated reporting on this application. So I'll turn it over to Adam at this time.
Okay, good. Adam?
Okay, thank you, David. Good morning, members of committee. I'm going to share screen and just go back with a very brief summary of what's happened to date, and then I'll present the revised application as it's been submitted. Can everybody see the sketch?
Yep, we can
And
see.
can everybody, okay, and can everybody see my cursor rolling around the screen?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So back in January, the Land Division Committee considered this consent application for a lot addition or a boundary adjustment. And this was to take this chunk of land from the Grace Farms property and add it to the Vink property. And the intention at the time was additional lands for a reserve septic system, a proposed shed, geothermal system, and then there was a secondary driveway proposed that would come in off of Perth line 24. The committee at the January meeting deferred the application to give the applicant additional time to work with staff to see if we could get this application down into a form of development that is more supportable and fits in compliance with the official plan for the town or for the county, sorry. And so what the applicant has come back with is a revised sketch. Just for summary, this land area here was approximately 1 acre of land, and it would double the size of the Vink property. So we'd be looking at basically taking it from 1 acre to 2 acres total. So the revised application has done a few things today. Can everybody see that? Is it centered on screen?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So in the staff report, I did a bullet point summary of some of the modifications to this application. The first one being that the land area has been reduced from 1 acre down to 0.55 acres, so just a little over half an acre. So that's approximately half the land area that they were originally requesting. And they've provided a bit more information as to the geothermal system area. So they've reduced it in size to have it basically form this kind of rough L shape. The shed is now in line with the septic here, and they've eliminated the secondary entrance and driveway, and they've reduced eliminated the secondary septic system area from the proposal. So this application now, approximately half the land area being requested. They've shown where the system is going to go. And the staff report has made some observations on this revised application in that when we look at the area of the proposed geothermal system, the staff report discusses that it would likely be difficult to fit that geothermal in here without removing the majority of tree cover on the lot. And the proposed shed would also require significant tree cover, and there might be other site constraints such as the driveway and septic that would make the shed easier to position out in this part of the land that they're asking to take in. So the staff report recommends approval of the revised application subject to the conditions that are outlined, and I would be happy to answer any questions committee may have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Adam. If you can, unshare the screen, I can see again. All right, any questions for Adam on that particular application? Don't see any. If there are no questions, I guess at this time we could entertain a motion to approve that application with the, I believe there was 10 conditions listed there. Do we have a mover and seconder for that motion? Warden Aitchison and a seconder? Councillor Wilhelm, thank you. Any further discussion on that? Okay, ready for the, Rhonda, you have a question?
So I guess the justification then for taking the land out of production is for the geothermal, is that correct? Just so you don't think anybody's going to question this when it's so small?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, the whole justification here is that they've reduced the geothermal system down to the minimum size, or they've asked for the minimum lot area to be added based on that geothermal system size. based on the shape of that property as well, it appears that that geothermal would be difficult to accommodate on the lot as is, and hence why they've asked for the half acre now instead of the full acre. And that would also include the area for the shed. So in the staff opinion, that this lot addition meets the intent of the county official plan.
Other questions? Councillor Wilhelm?
Yeah, I would support this as the geothermal, I think is good for climate and I think it's imperative that we keep the tree cover that's there too, so.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Anybody else? Okay, if there's no further questions, I guess we've got it moved and seconded. So David, I'll let you conduct the vote if you wish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, Warden Aitchison, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Mackenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Eggets, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Councillor Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, so that results of that vote and that application is approved. All right, moving on then. Next item is new pending in process, final approved, withdrawn, and delegated authority approved applications. So David, is that your item? Okay, go ahead then.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just our usual activity report for members of the committee, just to update on consent application activity since our last meeting. So since our last meeting on March 29th, we have 2 new applications for consent to sever that have been received. Both of those are for surplus farm dwelling severances in West Perth. We have 1 application that shows up as pending at this point. There's been a little bit more movement on that in discussions with the applicant's agent. And that application is also in West Perth in Mitchell. We have 14 applications which are currently in process. 5 applications that have been final approved since our last meeting. So those are applications for which a certificate of official has been issued and all conditions have been completed. And we have 1 application that has been approved through delegated authority since our last meeting in March. So that is a general summary of our activity report on consents. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that members of the committee might have regarding the contents of that report.
Okay, any questions from the committee members? Okay, don't see any. Any other staff have any further comments to make at this time? Okay, I guess then we need a motion to accept the new pending in process, final approved, withdrawn, and delegated authority approved applications. Moved by Councillor Eggets and seconded by Councillor Duncan. And David, I'll let you conduct the vote then.
Through the chair, Warden Aitchison, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Mackenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Eggets, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Councillor Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and so that report has been approved and accepted by the committee. Moving on, I'm not aware of, but maybe there is any correspondence.
Through the chair, I'm not aware of any correspondence of note that's been received for the committee at this time.
Okay, and then the next item then is appeals, and that doesn't seem to change much from month to month, but anyways, any update on the appeals?
Through the chair, we still have the 2 applications that have been noted, B4719 for Wilson and B6719 for Sylvester, and those have been hanging around for a little while now. I don't have anything very specific to say on either of them at this point, but I do understand that for B67, there was some movement with the LPAT. We're waiting for some further correspondence to come through on that one. And I'd perhaps ask if our manager of planning is in attendance today, if she has anything to add to that at this time.
It has been withdrawn. So this report will show that it won't be on next report for our next meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I believe the original person that wanted to sever it, I think well, anyway, one person ended up buying it and the other person withdrew their complaint. So it's one way to get rid of a complaint is just to buy the property. Okay, we don't need a motion, I don't think, for that, for the appeals. I don't believe, Dave. Okay. Any other business at this time?
Just through the chair, I guess for everyone's information and just an announcement that's already been shared, we're welcoming Rachel Suffren to the planning team. She's our new planning and land division clerk, and she's in attendance for her first land division committee meeting today, and you'll be seeing more of her for sure in the future. So I know that you're all aware, but I thought I'd just make more of a formal highlight and announcement of that during the meeting today. So welcome to Rachel, and we're very excited to have you on board.
Yes, welcome, Rachel. Lucky for you, this is a virtual meeting because normally the new person on the block takes us all out for a coffee. Okay, geez, I just lost my agenda. I think the next item, there we go. Next item, there is no closed session, I don't believe. Lost it again. Then the next is, I'm going off my top of my head here. I believe next meeting date, and they were all set at the start of the year. But I guess you could refresh our memory. The next meeting date would be when, David?
Through the chair for members of committee, the next meeting date's Monday, May 31st. So the last day of May will be our next meeting. Yeah.
Right. Okay, very good. I don't think I have anything else. I'm just going to leave the agenda blank. For some reason or other, it keeps shutting off on me. So the final motion that we have then, I guess, is a motion to adjourn. Councillor Wilhelm, Councillor Duncan, David, I'll let you take the vote.
Through the chair, Warden Aitchison, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Agate, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Councillor Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
So that vote has also been carried. So I guess we're now officially adjourned. So thank you.
Hey, when we stop live streaming, could I ask Adam a question? If you could stop us live streaming there, Rachel?